So I will be presenting to you some famous characters, and I want you to tell me what they have in common. All right? Easy task. If you are only hearing or listening to the audio of this podcast, I will do my best to name those characters for you to understand. But hey, I always recommend watch the video podcast. I know that not always is possible. Sometimes you are doing other things, but hey, sometimes I bring visuals and you are missing on those if you are just watching or listening to the audio. So look at first this guy. So I think his name is Gandalf. I must be honest, I haven't seen this movie or this saga of Lord of the Rings. My wife is a huge fan of this, but I know that this guy represents what I want to talk about, so you may be familiarized with him. Let's check the other one. Do you know this one? I know this one. He's a legend. Dumbledore. Dumbledore from the famous series Harry Potter. I am pretty sure that you will know the next one. Boom! This guy have a name. I don't know the name. Maybe you can name it, but he's basically the monkey of Lion King. The monkey of Lion King. He has a name. Let me just Google it real quick because I know he has a name. Lion King. Monkey. His name is Rafiki. Rafiki or something like that. I am pretty sure that you will know this one. Let's see if you recognize this green little bean. Alrighty, this is Mr. Yoda. Mr. Yoda from the famous movie Star Wars. Now he's like a baby Yoda, right? That is a wonderful principle when the old can become the new. And I was looking for a female representation of one of what I want to talk about. And hey, don't judge me. I haven't seen the new movie yet. It's now on cinema of Doctor Strange. So I don't know if this woman made another thing that maybe she will not be matching to our subject of today. But what I can say is only by watching the first movie of Doctor Strange, I can say that this woman, she may not be what I am trying to talk about, that you will know soon, but she's on her way. She's on her way. And is this woman. Basically, the woman, I don't know the name of her, but is the woman that teach Doctor Strange how to do magic and how to believe, in the mystic and how to transcend rationality in order to connect with intuition. And the final, you know, character, and he's a real life character. He's a guy that he's alive right now and he's a human being. He's not a fictional being. Is this guy. You may know him or you may not. His name is Alejandro Jodorowski. He's from Latin America. I don't know exactly where he's from. Maybe from Colombia or where is Alejandro from? Let me see. Real quick. So he's from Chile. He's from Chile, and this guy, he's a living legend of what I will be talking about because all of these characters, and I know that obviously you saw the title, so this was not too creative, but I just wanted to, to stimulate your mind. But all of these characters, fictional or real life, they are all representing in a certain degree, in a certain aspect, the old wise archetype. The old wise archetype. And exactly that is what we are going to be talking today, because today I will teach you how to identify this archetype, how to become this archetype in your own life, how to activate this archetype. What the hell is going on with my arbor? How to sorry, how to activate this archetype in your life. And also, I will teach you how to protect yourself from some of the traps that this archetype, as well as all the others, may face, because each archetype has his shadow. Each archetype has their own demon to conquer. So, my friend, if you are ready to become the old wise, stay tuned until the end, because you will receive the infinite wisdom. Let's go, And ladies and gentlemen, welcome, my friends, to the most transformative podcast in the world. And this is the Mastermind Podcast Challenge Season 2 with your host, Dr. Derek Israel, and this is the episode 550 of the Mastermind Podcast Challenge. Every Monday through Friday, one episode each day. Join us on Spotify, join us on my YouTube channel, Dr. Derek Israel, and receive the wisdom. We have a whole mini series dedicated to archetypes, some on Spanish, some on English. So if you want to know more about the archetypes, I already have done the warrior archetype. I already have done the magician. I already have done the king. I already have done, what else? The lover, the buffoon. Now we are taking the wise old man or the wise old woman. So, and I will be continue doing it. I will be discussing more in depth the shadow archetype, the persona very soon, the self very soon, the shaman very soon. So hey, just join us. This is the best and the most transformative podcast in the world. All right. So before we continue moving forward, let me remind you that I'm about to launch my first book. Terapia con Derek is almost there. I know that I have been promising that like for almost 6 years. But hey, this is for me a masterpiece. What I'm building is a masterpiece. And sometimes when you're building a masterpiece, the process is slow, but the fruits are remarkable. So as soon as I announce that the book is available, grab your copy. I don't want you to miss your copy, because there's a lot of wise old wisdom in that book that I don't want you to miss, because I will transform your life with Terapia con Derek, with Therapy with Derek, my first book. So stay tuned to my social media, to derekisrael.com, and to this podcast for more information about that. So let's go. What is the old wise archetype? Well, it's an archetype, obviously, and we know just a brief overview. An archetype is basically a way of being in life. It's a way of being that always will be. Like you can personificate or personalize that way of being, and that doesn't mean that you are the owner of the archetype. That just means that you are expressing the archetype in your own personality, because archetypes, they are like the rules of existence. They are psychological laws. They are metaphysical templates of how spirits or beings, you and me and everyone else, can manifest itself or themselves and relate to each other in this existence. They are forces, they are powers, they are nucleus of expression in existence, right? So, the archetype of the old wise is just an archetype that is representative of a man or a woman, or in this case, an animal in the Lion King, that it has the wisdom. That's it. Don't go, we don't have to make deep science here. It has the wisdom, it has the smoke. You know, it has already passed through so much in his destiny, in his hero's journey, in his life, that now he's an old man or an old woman and he's wise. Now, the old archetype, and this is the old wise archetype, this is a very important element. This is not a chronological element, folks. What I mean by that is that it is not about how many years do you have. You may be 25 and you may already be an old wise. You may be 50 and you may be already an old wise. You may be 100 and you may be not at close to be old wise. So the years, your age, it doesn't matter too much. Well, we can say, okay, more years, more life. So you have a little bit of more probability to, grow wise. But that is not a direct correlation. It may happen, but it may not. So this is an archetype that mostly we find in old people and in legends and in movies and in myth. Oh, sorry. And in legends and in myths, we find it illustrated or projected or represented by old people because it's for us more. Give me just a sec. For us, it's more easy to represent wisdom with old people, but this is not a mandatory variable. So you can become this, and you may have only 16 years old. So forget about it, man. You can become this, whatever age. All right. So also there's different degrees of the old wise. Like you can be old wise, but still you are facing a little bit of your demons and your shadows. Just notice how these old wise, they are not perfect. Their wisdom is not perfect. That is part of the archetype. This is very important for you to know. So the old wise is not completely enlightened. If you are going to be completely enlightened, there is no you anymore. That is the self archetype. And that archetype, we're going to discuss it in the future. But the old wise, he still have some shit going on. For example, if you watch Kung Fu Panda, you know that the master in Kung Fu Panda in the first movie, he doesn't believe in the panda. Why? Why he doesn't believe in the panda? Well, because he thinks that he knows better. Well, that is part of the shadow, of the old wise, because he also needs to learn. Also, Yoda needs to learn in his journey. Dumbledore needs to learn. I'm pretty sure that Randolph. So they don't have a perfect wisdom, but they are on their way to it. That is part of the archetype. All right. So why this archetype is important? Well, it is important because I believe that this is just a natural archetype for us, that we are doing personal development. We are doing a spiritual expansion in this podcast and in this content. And probably if you arrive here, you either are very interested in Jungian psychology, or you are doing personal and spiritual growth and expansion and exercises. So whatever, you are basically trying to expand your psyche. You are basically trying to expand yourself. So when you expand yourself, I believe that this is inevitable, that you will reach this archetype. What else you will be? Like, okay, you will be a warrior, you will be a magician, you will be a a lover, a buffoon, blah 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 blah. All the most, the more elemental. But then you will become a king or a queen, right? And when you become a king or a queen, you still have you're missing wisdom. You are a king, you are leading the way, you are providing abundance, you are protecting the realm, but that doesn't mean that you are wise. That's why always the king or the queen always have the wise man in the courtroom, because they haven't introjected or internalize the wisdom of the old man. When the king or the queen internalize that, the old wise that is external die, because he doesn't need that old wise externally anymore. It's part of his own being. But mostly we see in the movies that the king, he's not wise yet. But after you transcend your kingness, like you start to becoming the wise man or the wise woman, the all wise. So I believe it's important to know this archetype, because this is for you a goal. This is inevitable in the spiritual journey. You will become wise. People will look at you as the all wise man or woman. You know how many people look at me as the all wise, and I'm like, I am not that yet. And people, yes, you have so much wisdom. People writing me or sending me emails, or just clients in general, like patients or clients on coaching, like, yes, you are the all wise, and that's why I want to work with you. And I'm like, dude, have you seen me for a minute? I'm like, I am not the all wise yet. Well, I'm a warrior. I'm a magician. I'm on my way to becoming a better king. And yes, I have read some books. I have a doctoral degree. I have a little bit of wisdom, but that doesn't make me the all wise. I still have a strong shadow. I still have strong parts of myself that I cannot see, or I haven't metabolized or digest or outgrow yet. I still have a lot of ego, a lot of ambition, and a lot of, I want to be the protagonist. And that is something that, I will teach you, that the old wise is not interested anymore in this podcast. So I am still not that. I know that I'm on my way. And maybe when I am 50, 60, maybe in the future, you will see me like with that long beard. And I always refer to that with the dead gaze, because mostly um the old wise always have like this dead gaze, like he's looking at you, but you see nothing in their eyes. You see nothing in their eyes. They are so detached from the world. They are so detached and connected to their wisdom that you almost don't see anything in their eyes. So maybe you will see me one day when I'm 50 or something, like looking at you like this with an old beard, and I will be doing like, follow your wisdom. And maybe when I'm like that, maybe you can say, oh, yes, he became the old wise. But until that, hey, I'm better being a king, an immature king in my journey, in my struggle, sharing my art, sharing my mistakes, owning my ego, owning my shadow. And this is part of my archetypal development. I am not pretending that I am the wise old man. I'm just saying that I am on my way, and you are on your way too. So, key features of this archetype, and this is the most important thing that you need to understand about this archetype in order to manifest it on your life. But then I will give you specific um, recommendations to activate this in your psyche. So, key features. Okay, so the old wise archetype, more than knowledge, have wisdom. And this is very important. And this is a contrast from the other archetype that is called the sage. The sage archetype, you can Google it, is more oriented to knowledge, very similar to the magician. But the magician is oriented to knowledge because he wants to dominate certain mystical technologies. As I teach you in my magician archetype episode that I think is in Spanish, and it is called El Arquetipo del Mago Uno y El Arquetipo del Mago Parte Dos. I have two parts of it. You can search it on Spanish on my YouTube channel. So the sage is more oriented to the knowledge that he can find on books, for example, right? Like Plato may be a very good sage type archetype, but Socrates, he's more like the old wise. If you know about, both of them, some people say that Socrates is just a part of his mind, part of the mind of Plato, maybe, I don't know. But Socrates, he's more like, I don't care about books. I just know that I don't know. That type of wisdom is kind of the old wise archetype. But Plato, if you read the Republic, or if you read any one of the Plato's books, you know that Plato is still rationalizing a lot. He's analyzing, he's trying very hard to understand reality, to conceptualize reality. Well, Plato is more the sage. He's working with knowledge. The old wise is working with wisdom. It's not the same. It is not the same for you to understand the knowledge of the Bible and for you to understand the wisdom of the Bible. The wisdom, you have experience of it. You can understand the codes of the message. When you are understanding only the knowledge, you only understand the superficial aspect of the message, the literal thing, the obvious thing. 1 plus 1 is 2. The wisdom, when you are understanding wisdom, you are understanding the profundity of the thing, not the superficial. 1 plus 1 is, what the hell is 1? you know? So the sage is saying 1 plus 1 is 2. I know so much. The wise is saying 1 plus 1, what the hell is 1 and what the hell is plus? How we can know what is plus and what is to subtract? How we can know for sure that in existence we can subtract or add anything? Notice, that's wisdom. That is wisdom. Or maybe the old wise will know that 1 plus 1, it may not be 2. It may be other thing. But you may say, what? It's not other thing, Derek. It's 2. Yes, it's 2 for you, that you are the sage. For the wise man or the wise woman, it may be another thing. 1 plus 1 may be love, for example. And you may say, what? That is not even a number. Yes, that's why you are not wise. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Wisdom over knowledge. Another key feature is that the old wise almost is in peace with his demons. Almost. But mostly when they are about to transcend to the self, like when Obi-Wan Kenobi, he was also a old wise, not only Yoda. But then when he let Darth Vader kill him, I don't know, he transcended that archetype. He became the self. He became the all, the everything. Because at the end, he was in peace with his demons. He was in peace with the fact that his prodigy became the dark force. And he was also in peace that that was his journey. Like when he understood that Anakin's journey was to become the dark force, because that was his hero's journey, he then said, all right, kill me. But he had to understand that he has to make peace with his demons first. Also, Dumbledore needs to be at peace with his demons, and every old wise has to do this. If they cannot make peace with their demons, they become a villain. Like, for example, how do you call this guy? Um, Palpatine, the Star Wars bad character, like the villain, the old man that is the villain, that is the mentor of, I'm talking about the classic Star Wars. He's the mentor of the Dark Vader, right? That guy, he's an old wise. He has a lot of wisdom. He's no fool, but he has not made peace with his demons. He's possessed by his demons. And when I say demons, I say ego. I refer to ego, to ambitions, to specific desires. So that's why he's on the dark side, although he's wise. Thanos in the Avengers, he's a very old wise man. He's a very old wise man. When you look at the philosophy of Thanos, you say, damn, that guy, he's a philosopher. But he haven't made peace with his demons yet. That's why he's the villain. That's why he's the villain. Do you understand this? So you need to make peace with the demons. So also, the another key feature is that the old wise is willing to mentor the hero. This is important. If the old wise it is not willing to mentor the hero or the future of the community, the new generation, well, then he's not that old wise. He's not that much old wise. He may be old, but maybe not so wise. And you see this in movies. Sometimes the old wise, he rejects the opportunity to mentor the hero. He doesn't want to do it. Why? Because they are so wise that they don't want to do mundane stuff anymore. But if they reject that call for too long, they become a shadow because they are denying their responsibility. And you cannot deny your responsibility as an archetype. If you're a warrior, you need to go to war. If you're a king, you need to lead. If you are a magician, you need to do magic. You cannot be a magician and just dance. No, well, if you're going to dance, make it a ritual and manifest through dancing. Make magic through dancing. You know what I'm saying? So the all wise need to accept to be a mentor of the other. That's why, the old wise in Kung Fu Panda, he needed to accept the panda at the end of the day. And then in the second and the third movie, he's like more like a mentor for him, right? So he has to do it. Also, another key feature is that the old wise understand the power of suffering and error for true learning. The old wise is made of suffering. I want you to understand this. The old wise is made of suffering. That's why he's wise. Without suffering, you don't get wise. You may become smart. You may be intelligent. You even may be intellectual. But who cares about those when you can have wisdom? A wisdom that is based on your own suffering, pain, mistakes, from those experiences in which you was wrong and life gave you a slap in your face. So the old wise, he's not perfect, and maybe when he was young, he was a stupid fool. And basically that is how the archetypal progression goes. You goes from a fool to the old wise. And if you study the tarot, you know that is so true. In the tarot, you have these, how do you call the ermitaño? Hermitage? Let me just Google it. I don't know this word on English. In English, hermit, the hermit. So the hermit is kind of the old wise in the tarot. But the hermit, maybe let me share my screen real quick with you. So you will be seeing a little bit of visuals right now. So the hermit, in the tarot. Uh, Let me see if I can look at this one. So this is the hermit in the tarot, and basically he's the old wise. But before he was this hermit, the old wise, and basically this a lamp, this light means, the wisdom that he can illuminate darkness. So he's conscious of a lot of things. The old wise had made conscious what it was unconscious. Remember, unconscious is to not know. To be conscious is to know. So he's all knower basically. And so the fool, and I already discussed a little bit about the fool. I will go in a specific episode about the fool because I discussed the buffon, although the fool is a variation of the same archetype, the buffon. But I like the fool so much that I will do a specific episode on him on the future. And this is how a wise old man start, being the fool. And notice he's almost about to jump on a cliff and he doesn't even know it. That means that he needs to make mistakes. Look at this one. I think I have never seen this one. He almost fall. Look at this one. So the fool must be about to do the mistake before he can be the all wise. And this is in the tarot system. Also, the all wise almost transcend his ego completely because he do not care of being the protagonist anymore. And that is what I tell you. I am not the old wise because I haven't done this yet. So sometimes I was always thinking in Star Wars, why Yoda don't fight more? Like if he's so powerful, or also in Dumbledore, when I was a kid, I was always asking, why Dumbledore, if he's so mighty as a magician, why he doesn't take his weapons and he destroy Voldemort? And he go and fight, the bad guys, or Yoda, why he doesn't do it? I was always asking myself this because I didn't understand this principle that when you are the old wise, you don't fight anymore. You may fight one last time. And my wife always says, and she's a brilliant, brilliant woman, brilliant woman. She's the most brilliant woman that I have ever known in my life. And that's why she's my wife. And she always says that you have one. Oh my God, this is, you need to listen to this. She always says that when you achieve like that, like you retire, like you are out of your career, you are becoming the old wise, you still have one more war to go, and that you need to go to one more war. So it's like one last time. And she said, like, old people like Wolverine, she always give me that example in the X-Men, like Wolverine, when he's old, like he's 50, old smash, he's not that good anymore, but he's always take the call one more time, one last fight, one last fight, because that is part of the old wise. He doesn't care to do it anymore, but if he needs to do it to save, the world or the universe, he will do it. Yoda, he did it. He fights sometimes. Dumbledore, he fights sometimes, but they don't need to do it. They don't have the desire to do it. They have the desire to mentor the new hero to do it. The Luke, Skywalker to do it. Not they don't want to do it themselves. They already transcended their ego. They don't want the reputation anymore. They don't want to be in the spotlight anymore. That is the hero who wants to save the day. Well, sometimes that is another archetype, the hero, that I will be discussing later. This is an amazing podcast, huh? This is an amazing podcast. This is the most transformative podcast in the world. So let's go and continue. Also, another key feature is that the old wise is more dedicated to internal mastery than to, external mastery. So you don't see Dumbledore trying to learn new spells. You don't see Yoda taking a YouTube course on how to move better his laser beam. Like they, you see the old wise meditating. That is what you see them doing. Why? Why? Because when you are in the old wise archetype and stage of consciousness, what you want is to master your inner spirit, your inner forces, not to master the world. You want to conquer yourself. Buddha, he was the old wise, and he used to tell, forget about conquering the world, conquer yourself, because he knew that if you conquer yourself, you conquer the world. That's why you see the old wise always meditating. Also, the old wise understand that, he understand and dance through the correspondence principle. So the old wise understand, and this is when he's arriving into the last stage of the old wise. He's almost transcending the old wise to the self, almost becoming infinite intelligence and wisdom, almost. When he understands very deeply, not only intellectually, because you may, if you watch this podcast, you already know this, but intellectually. But the all wise man or woman know this viscerally, spiritually. He understands that the internal world and the external world are one world, one thing, an unus mundus, only one world. There is no outside and inside anymore. There is only existence. So this means that the old wise need to understand that he's also all the demons, because it's only one thing. Dumbledore needed to understand, and J.K. Rowling didn't put it this explicitly, but I guess that in a way, like in a very deep psychological way, this happened to her. Like she need to understood, she had to understand that Dumbledore and Voldemort, they were the same guy. Harry and Dumbledore and Voldemort, they were the same guy, the same entity, the same mind. Different human beings, same mind, same essence, same spirit. And the old wise need to understand this. Yoda need to understand that he's Darth Vader. Why? Because the old wise also had ambitions when they were young. And those ambitions, if they didn't go after them, they repressed those ambitions. And what happened when you repress the thing? It comes back like a monster. So maybe they didn't become the monster, but they created in their own reality, in their own unus mundus. And I'm writing a book about what is the unus mundus, because I know that I mentioned this, and it's a very alchemist old term that most people don't understand. Sorry, but that means only one world. Only one world. Everything is united in one world. Well, they have their own ambitions when they were young. So they suppressed that. And that energy came back like a monster, materialized in an external agency, in a Darth Vader, in a Lord Voldemort, that now that agency is trying to conquer the world. And they are like, oh no, I need the hero to stop them. Because they are not that wise, when they are trying to do it. When they are trying to find the hero to stop the villain, they are maybe wise, but not that wise. When they finally realize that they are that monster as well, they can finally let go and restore peace through the hero in the community. Through the hero, but with peace of mind, with complete equanimity. That is enlightenment, and that is transcendence. Also, another key characteristic is that they use metaphors to communicate truth and parables. And and analogies and stories and myths and songs and poetry. Like you can, like in the past example, 1 plus 1 is love. What the hell that means? You don't know because you're not wise enough to understand the old wise. You need to forget about logic. It is not about logic. You need to understand that most truths are paradoxical. Most truths doesn't make any sense, and that doesn't mean it is not true. Oh my God, how the hell a God created this? That doesn't make any fucking sense, but that doesn't mean it is not truth. Oh my God, I cannot believe that we come from the monkeys. I don't believe in evolution. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. That doesn't mean that it's not true. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying, I just want you to understand the pattern of thinking that encompasses and demands to be the all wise. You need to be open to new possibilities and communicate them in strange ways. Like that's why the alchemists, they wrote the texts, the alchemist text. If you read those, you will understand nothing basically. You will say, what the hell they are talking about? Because they are talking in metaphors because they don't want common folks to understand them. Because they know if they talk literally and very in a common language, they will not be able to grasp the sophisticated reality that they are trying to express. But also they are gonna be putting wisdom in the grown hands probably. So they want to speak in ways that it's like a puzzle. It's like a puzzle. And only the real hero that can listening with the heart, not with the ears, but listening with the heart, he's the only one that can decipher that truth. And also the old wise is in peace with death. And this is a very important aspect. The old wise is ready to die. If you are afraid of death, you are not the old wise yet. I know that I'm not the old wise yet because if you tell me that I only have 1 day of life, I will cry as hell. I will cry as hell. Like, I appreciate my life so much. It's like, oh my God, I don't want to die, man. I don't want to die. But the old wise is like more, bring it. I will die. You know, I am not like that. And probably you don't. You are not. So right. Um, so yeah. So those are the key characteristics. Now, how you can activate this archetype on your life? Well, look at this. Read books. But remember, you are looking for the wisdom of the book. You are not looking for memorizing the book or for understanding all the knowledge of the book. No, 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 no. You are not doing a PhD here, folks. I have done a PhD and I am not the all wise. You know, you are looking for the wisdom of the book. You are looking for the essence, the patterns, the spiritual wisdom of the book. Also, you can apply this to podcasts, you can apply this to documentaries, to movies, to courses, to every device that is intended for transferring learning and knowledge. You need to transmute that learning into wisdom. Also, you need to meditate and meditate a lot. I have a course that is called Meditation from Beginning to Expert. It's only on Spanish right now, but I will be translating that on the future. So if you not understand Spanish, enroll in that course immediately. It's in derekisrael.com, link on the description, because to meditate is the medium of the all wise. If you are not meditating, you are not getting wise, man. You are learning, you may be learning, but wisdom comes with internal contemplation, internal exploration, and that comes with meditation. So meditate more. Also, surround yourself and learn from old people. Like go to a old place, a old shelter, something like that, a shelter for old people. Like there you will find some wisdom. Then you will find an old man, an old wise man. You know, I remember I was participating from a community service in, I have mentioned this before. I was participating from a community service when I was in maybe um maybe in third year. I was in third um I don't remember the year. Maybe in second year or third year of my bachelor degree in psychology. I was like maybe 20 years old, 19 to 20 years old. Was maybe my second year, 19 to 20 years old. And I was doing I had to do a community service, like 20 hours of community service in the class of, I don't remember, it was ethics or Christian faith. I don't remember, but I had to do a couple of hours, 20 hours. So I went to a place that my mom accommodated me in that place because she used to have a lot of, you know, friends there, or she knew people there. And that place was for people that have intellectual disabilities, and they were going to that place and they receive education and they could work a little bit, earn some money, so, and they can you know, socialize. So it was like a non-profit organization. So I went there, you know, a couple of Saturdays or a couple of Fridays, or a couple of Fridays that I didn't have class. I went there and I spent 3 4 hours. I went like 5 or 6 times until I was done. And I was what I was doing mostly, I was spending time on a room with a couple of the clients with intellectual disability, that they were doing some things with how do you say this? Let me just yeah, they were doing something with screws, with a screw. They were I don't remember exactly what they were doing, but the man that was leading the group, and he didn't have intellectual disability, he was the teacher. He was an old man. He was like not that old. He was like 55 to 60, and he was blind. And he didn't was born blind. He started being blind like 5 years before that. So he became blind like at 50 years old. I don't remember why. Maybe it was a condition or something happened that he became blind. Yeah, I think it was a condition. But that blind old man, he was the all wise. And I didn't understand. I didn't understand that in that moment. I didn't knew about Jung or archetypes. I was studying psychology, but I was in the first classes. I didn't understand this at all. And that man, he was so fucking wise. And he didn't see, but he didn't need the eyes to see. He was seeing with his heart. And he was leading all the group, and he was leading myself, you know, by being blind. And he was so in peace that he was blind. And he was telling me, "Oh, Derek, I may be able to see if I get surgery, and you know, the doctors, you know, if they find a good prognosis, I may be able to see one day, but I am in peace if I don't see another light in my life." And I was like, dude, how the hell you are in peace with that? I didn't understand. He already dissolved his ego. He didn't want to be the protagonist anymore. He was so grateful of being able to work even he was handicapped. He was so grateful that he was able to go with his daughter, and she was a grown woman. She was already in the university as me, but she was in another university. I don't know her. And but he used to tell me, I go with my wife and I go with my daughter, and we walk together in a park that is in the same university that she used to study. Every afternoon we go there and we walk together, and I can feel the air. I don't see nothing, but I can feel the air. And I know that my daughter, she's walking with me, and my wife, she's getting fit with me, and that is for me, my God. And then I go back home and I have food. My wife, she cook for me, and it's the most wonderful food. I have all. I don't need to see. I don't need eyes. I have all. And I'm like, dude, you are blind. And he's like, yes, that's why I have all. I have all. Because I'm blind, I have all. I'm like, what the hell? And now, a couple of years later, maybe 8 years later, I finally understand that wise man. Also, you need to learn from silence. You don't need noise to learn. You can learn everything just listening to nothing if you want to become the all wise. Also, you need to subtract wisdom from your suffering, or, I mean, to distill or to grab or to take from wisdom from suffering. So, whatever you're suffering for right now, maybe you are suffering because you are with a broken heart, or maybe because you are not in the career position that you want, or maybe because you have economic crisis, or maybe you was diagnosed with cancer. I don't know what is your suffering. Make that suffering your teacher. That is the way of the all wise. Also, you need to decentralize your ego. Your ego must become the universe, and I will be discussing that episode next week. So stay tuned, because we are getting better and better with time in this podcast. In a road to 1,000 episodes. When I achieve 1,000 episodes, I will say, okay, now we start the podcast. That is my mindset. So decentralize the ego. That means become more like a platform, less like a person. That is another episode that I will do in the future. That means basically you don't want to be the protagonist anymore. You don't want to be the main character anymore. You are okay just being everything and nothing at the same time. Decentralize your ego. Also, practice detachment. If you study Buddhism, as you should be doing, not only because Buddhism is like, oh my God, the best, no, because you should be studying from every religion, from every spiritual paradigm, because no paradigm has absolute truth. All paradigms has partial truths. And one of the best partial truths of Buddhism is detachment. Detachment. So practice that, because the all wise is not attached, it's detached. And also, you need to learn how to love. How to love. And then how that song goes with Lil Wayne. How to love. How to love. Well, learn how to love. Learn from Lil Wayne. Learn how to fucking love. All right. So this is a trap that you want to get away from, because every archetype has a shadow. So this is the trap for the all wise. And the trap for the all wise is indifference instead of detachment. And this is very, 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 very easy to fall in this trap. Like you can say, oh, Derek, I don't want to mentor the hero. I don't want to get involved in politics. I don't want to get involved in this business policy. Although I'm the old wise, I don't want to help because I am detached. No, 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 no. No, no, no. You are not detached. You are indifferent, and that is not the same. You cannot be indifferent because then you are running away from your responsibility as the old wise. What I mean when I say that you need to be detached is that you cannot be attached to certain results, to certain effects. But that doesn't mean that you will not strive to help and to be selfless and to do service, because the all wise serve others, is selfless, is becoming less and less and less himself and more and more and more the all. Also, another trap is overrating their wisdom, thinking that they know everything and that their wisdom can solve everything. Be careful with this one. Remember what Socrates did and said, I only know that I don't know. If you think that you have every answer and that you are already old wise, probably you are the old wise combined with the shadow. Combined with the shadow. And that is not a good thing. You will become a monster. And also putting your wisdom on service of the ego. That is another trap. It's very similar to overrating your wisdom. But remember, the direction of the old wise is the spirit, not the ego, not the personal gain, not personal reputation, not political agendas, no business agendas. That is for other archetypes that are less evolved. The old wise, you should be transcending your ego and becoming the whole universe. So, my friend, that's it. I hope that you enjoy this episode. Remember that I have a reproduction list on my YouTube channel that is called Archetypes. So, if you go to my reproduction lists, look for the Archetypes one and see the other episodes if you want to learn more about this awesome subject. Also, share your thoughts in the comment section. Let me know how you plan to activate your old wise, or what are the thoughts about this archetype. I want to, share with you. I want to know your opinion, and I want to expand the conversation in our community. Also, share this in your social media. That always help. Remember that we are on Patreon and that you can help us to remain self-sustainable, for us to be able to continue providing this epic knowledge and wisdom for free to thousands of people around the world that are learning with me. But if you want to help fund us, our movement, if you want to help fund our movement, go to Patreon. The link is on the description. And only with $5 per month, $5 per month, you can receive exclusive benefits and help us to continue our journey. Also, remember that we have a Telegram group, and this group is totally free, and it's for people that are doing the challenge, are for people that are taking seriously what we are discussing here. And if you want to be, surrounded with other people like you that are thinkers, visionaries, that are directed to their life purpose, well, join our group and I will be serving you there for free. And also remember that I am about to launch Terapia con Derek, the book, Therapy with Derek, Therapy with Derek in English. So grab your copy as soon as that is out. And finally, visit derekisrael.com. There you will find the coaching with me if you want, one-on-one, the consulting, the books, all the project, the courses, the sexual mastery course, how to be a top content creator. Next week, I will be doing the promotion for the translation of the life purpose course, manifesting your life purpose on English, first time ever. I have the self-love masterclass. I have what else? The meditation course. And now I am on my way to launch like 9 straight courses new courses. So stay tuned because everything that I'm launching is going to be spectacular. So I see you in the next episode and you will become